Hi all, this is Priyadarshini, working as an assistant professor in the Department of Artificial Intelligence and Data Science. Today, we are going to look into the topic file allocation under operating systems. So, before getting into the topic file allocation, first we have to know what is a file. So, as we all know, a file is a collection of recorded information. So file allocation is nothing but the allocation method, that is it defines how the files are stored in the disk blocks or in the secondary storage devices. So when you take file allocation, there are three different file allocation methods are available. So the first one is called the contiguous allocation, second one is your linked allocation, and the third one is your indexed allocation. So these are the three different allocation methods that are available to store in your secondary storage devices. So what is the main idea to have this file allocation is to have the efficient disk space utilization and also to access the file easily from the file block. So these are the two main primitive ideas of using file allocation methods. So now the first type of allocation method is called contiguous. We can also call this contiguous allocation as continuous allocation. So in contiguous allocation, the file will be contiguously, that is continuously allocated with the sets of blocks. For example, if a file requires n blocks, then there will be an address of the starting block as well as the length of the allocated portion in your directory structure. So for example, if I have a file name called mail, so for this file mail, it will be given the starting address as well as the length of the block. For example, this means that for the file mail, the given starting block address is 19 and the length of the block is 6. So from 19th block, it will be allocated till 24, that is 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. So this is how in contiguous allocation the file will be allocated. Now let's see the main advantages of this contiguous file allocation. So the contiguous file allocation is very easy to implement and the read performance is also very excellent. And it is also extremely very fast as the number of seeks that are minimal because of contiguous allocation of file blocks. Now let's see the disadvantages. So the main disadvantage, the major disadvantage of this contiguous allocation will be it suffers from both internal and external fragmentation. So we all know fragmentation is nothing but the whole being created. So it suffers from both external and the internal fragmentation. Thus, it makes inefficient in terms of the memory utilization. Also, when you need to increase the size of the file block, then this becomes very ineffective because it depends on the availability of the memory at a particular instance to increase a file block. So this would be the disadvantages of contiguous file allocation. Now let's see the second type of allocation called linked list allocation. So in this scheme, each file is a linked list of blocks which need not be contiguous. That is, the disk blocks can be scattered anywhere. When you look at this diagram itself, so let's first see the directory structure. So let us take an example file called Z. The starting address of the file block is starting at 9 and the end of the file is denoted as 25. So when you look into the picture itself, you come to know that the disk blocks are scattered everywhere on the disk. So the starting address is at 9. So then it moves to the 16th block and then to first block, then to 10th block, and then it is pointing towards the last block 25. When you look at this picture, so each pointer is being pointed to the address of the next block. At the 25th location, you have a null pointer, which means that it does not point to any of the other disk blocks. So this is how a linked allocation is done. The advantage of this linked block allocation or the linked list allocation is it does not suffer from external fragmentation. Also, it is very flexible in terms of file size. The major disadvantage is it does not support any direct access or random access. We cannot go directly to a particular file block and access the access, that is a read or write cannot be performed directly. So this is the main disadvantage of using a linked list allocation.